Thanks, Anna. Good stuff. All right, it would not be Unreal Fest if we didn't give you an unfiltered view into the future of film and the evolution of entertainment. We're truly inspired by today's filmmakers and creative storytellers, and we're fortunate to have some of the best in the business right here today. And you're going to hear some really cool behind-the-scenes stories. And there's no one better to kick this off than our very own Kim Library.
Thanks, Dana. Thank you. Wow, a lot of people. Hi, everybody. It's been an incredible year for Unreal Engine in film and television. Today, over 800 film and TV productions have used Unreal Engine to create cinematic magic. We're looking forward to upcoming releases, including Witches, Mufasa, Venom, and I'm particularly looking forward to Pharrell Williams' incredible movie, Piece by Piece, that not only looks fantastic, it was generated entirely in Unreal Engine. Even the final pixels that you see on the screen were UE-based. The past awards season saw 3 out of the 5 Emmy nominees for outstanding visual effects using Unreal Engine. And as you all know, our dream at Epic has been to create a tool that empowers all storytellers across all forms of entertainment, enabling them to transport their characters and worlds to whichever destination their imagination takes them. In this new world of transmedia storytelling, it is incredible to see a new generation of filmmakers embrace these capabilities, even to the point where some of them are actually hands-on in Unreal Engine. One such director is here with us today, known for The Maze Runner, and more recently, the awesome Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie, our friend Wes Ball. Wes, come up to the stage.
Hey, man.
Hey, Wes, how's it going? All right, we're going to do a little fireside chat. Take a seat.
Hey, everybody.
OK, Wes, tell us a little bit about your journey as a storyteller and filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, so I grew up in the 90s, during that giant digital revolution, with like movies like Jurassic Park and Terminator 2 and Matrix, of course.
Yeah,
this guy worked in Matrix. And so, it was just so inspiring, like what was you were able to achieve and stuff. So I kind of taught myself this software, like in my case, Lightwave 3D and After Effects. And so, I've been messing around with CG and VFX since I was just basically a kid. But it was really in 2012 when my career really started, when I made this little short called Ruin.
Oh, let's have a look.
And so this thing, which maybe some of you have seen, this is like 10 years now, but this was incredibly ambitious for me when I didn't know anything, basically. And it was quite a challenge, to build up the system that I could achieve this stuff. And
it still looks fantastic 10 years later.
I look at this today, and all the difficulty that I had back then trying to pull this thing off, alone in my little computer, I would do this in Unreal today. You know what I mean? So it shows how far we've come, actually, to be able to pull this stuff off. But so this short kind of went viral, and it kind of went online, and everyone saw it, and that's how I got invited by Fox Studios, onto the lot, and they kind of, we were talking about a feature version of this thing here, and in that meeting, someone pulled me aside, and they kind of, it's like a drug dealer or something, they pulled out this little book, and they gave it to me, and they said, hey, read this, take it home, read it, and then come back to us and tell us what you would do with it. And it was The Maze Runner.
Oh, wow.
So that's how I kind of got into my first movie, basically. It was this crazy little, fantasy, series of books. And very much like in the Ruin thing, they saw, VFX, you could make this little thing on a budget. So we made it for $34 million bucks, which is like romantic comedy kind of numbers.
That's crazy low budget for a visual effects movie.
Yeah, and so it ended up making like $350 million. It made like 10x its budget. So it became a new little franchise for the studio, and it was really successful, and it was really fantastic stuff. Funny story though, on this game, this was in 2013 when we were starting this thing. This was the first time that my introduction to real time, is where it came about, because one of our previs guys said, I think we should talk about doing a lot of our previs using game engines instead of like the traditional kind of
that
OpenGL.
was about when things were starting to kick off for Unreal.
And so that was a radical idea, and I didn't even appreciate how radical it was. And that was my first little introduction to it, but I didn't appreciate what it was until I got to this project called the Mouse Guard. And so I think I heard some claps out there. Good. Mouse Guard was this fantastic graphic novel by David Peterson, and we were going to do it. We were going to do it like Avatar. We were going to make this giant CG, full CG, motion capture, fantasy epic. We had Weta on board to do all the work. I had Andy Serkis cast and Idris Elba, and it was this fantastic project. But the challenge of it was how are we going to do the virtual production aspects of it all? And that's where I met you.
We came down. We heard there was somebody trying to make design a whole movie in Unreal Engine.
Right.
This would have been.
We built the entire filmmaking process on this, Unreal Engine.
8 years ago.
Our own little systems for tracking kind of the mocap and the takes, and I fell in love with the engine because I could get on the box along with my, all my really small kind of, talented team of artists. Casey Pike and his team at Halon, who are here doing a talk later today. And so we built the whole thing on this thing, and it was fantastic because I could light, I could go in, I could change the cameras, it felt like I was in a live action environment. It was just it was creatively freeing. And so it was just super, super inspiring. We were pushing the kind of, the visual fidelity of this thing. This was 419 when we made this thing. We didn't have Lumen or Nanite. I mean, you were pissed off at me because I was using the LPV volumes to light it.
Right, yeah, yes.
There's a little hack in the engine
technique, yes. Actually, he was, during that era, came up to visit us in our Larkspur office, where Brian Karras, the creator of Nanite, is based. And we showed him the previews, and we're like, Brian, one day we'll be able to make stuff that takes this to the final result.
And that's what was so surprising, because for studio people that are used to seeing, really rough quality stuff, it was so wonderful to kind of watch this thing and be able to see what it might become once we give all this stuff over to Weta to carry it on and spend all ridiculous sums of money to make it all look photoreal. Sadly, that project it didn't happen.
Stuff happens.
That's a story for another time. But that's how I met Matt Reeves on that movie. He's a producer on it, and I learned the mocap thing. And that's when the studio kind of pulled me aside and said, "Sorry, it's not going to work. But what do you think about doing something with the next Planet of the Apes?" And so that's how that came about.
That's like a pretty sweet deal.
Yes, right. And so that's where that little adventure kind of really began.
So Kingdom is not only a visually stunning movie. One of the things that I loved about it is I really believed in the characters and the world. And that's no mean feat when most of the pixels that you're generating for many of the shots are fully computer generated. I remember, during the very beginning, when you started on the movie, you showed me.
I called you up, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you called me up, and it was during the pandemic, yeah? So we're on a Zoom call, and he's like, check this out. And he shows me this. And I'm like,
so this shot you're seeing here in the bottom is my Unreal shot, and the top is the final. But this was before we even had a script. And this is, I think, is the power of Unreal for me as a tool. It's a tool of discovery. I just kind of grabbed some marketplace assets. I used some of my stuff from Ruin, and I just made this shot. And I thought, this is the way we're going to start the movie. And so to be able to go to the studio and say, hey, look, here's not just an idea. Here's a visual idea that it actually looks pretty damn good, and just get people excited about it, And so we did that. Of course, we did with Halon and all of our previous guys, the same guys from MouseGuard, actually, and a lot of the same guys. Unreal really became kind of a previs tool and a production tool for us, a kind of a good tool for to figure out the technical aspects of the movie,
Talking about that, it's such a complex movie. The world building and designing shots that have to work with a physical location is really important. How does Unreal Engine help on that?
Yeah, so as you can see here, there's the traditional kind of set design stuff instead of kind of our entire art team basically got into Unreal. And so I would, late at night, I would build stuff and say something like this, we'd learn stuff together. But there's one scenario that for me was so valuable, and it was this case of, here's a set that we went to. It was on the side of a mountain. It's incredibly difficult to get to. It's 5 hours out of my day to go to this place, but we have decisions to make. Where do we put the cameras? Where do we build the sets? And so this is around the time that you implemented the point cloud system inside Unreal. And so we were out there on set one day. I had my Eric, my supervisor, go out, take his little tiny DJI drone, and he just scanned the whole environment. And then within a couple hours, when we got back to the office, we had a point cloud of the set inside the engine where I could fly around, I could find my shots. And as you can see how close, we actually get. And this is a huge win for, I'm sure very much like game design. You make your movie in prep, in planning. where do you put the crane? You know, where do you hide all the IR cameras? You know, so to be able to have this simple little tool, which seems so simple here, it was incredibly valuable for me, where I could actually see the environment.
Because it looks so close to the actual real environment. It's great for all the different departments that you work with.
Fantastic.
You know, back when I was making Matrix, everything was flat shaded, gray shaded wireframe.
And I preferred the point cloud thing over like the traditional kind of meshing thing, because that one, that takes forever. It never quite matches. But here with this point cloud thing, I could see where basically the leaves were and all that kind of stuff. And I could go even further fidelity, but we used it all throughout the movie, and I'll be using it again, of course, on whatever comes next.
Well, it worked. The movie, like, you really, really believe in the design of the shots in the world. Okay, well, what's next for you?
Yeah, we're continuing to work on cool stuff, of course, you know, and of course, you know, the engine will be a part of that, you know, experience. But right now, the biggest thing that is really taking up my time is this fantasy movie based on, you know, it's a little game, a series of games.
Like indie little game.
Yeah, called Legend of Zelda. So, yeah, that's taking up our time, and it's going to be fantastic. But you know, that dream, whether it's Zelda or whatever, you know, whatever else we're working on, that dream of doing Final Pixel, all Unreal, is still, you know, alive and well. So we'll see what happens.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned Final Pixel, as our next guest knows a little something about that, and taking UE projects and making them something that actually render the final pixels for your content. So let me introduce the co-founder of Blur Studios, the director of the first Deadpool, the creator of Love, Death, and Robots, and the upcoming Prime anthology, Secret Level. Please welcome to the stage our friend Tim Miller.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim. How's it going, man?
Hey, dude.
All right, Tim.
I swear this is not going to take long. I'm not going to go back and relive my childhood.
I know this.
I swear. I know it's almost over.
We're almost over. So you two know each other, yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, I've tried to hire Wes about
We've known each other
12
for
times.
over 10 years. Like, it was ruined because I have looked up to Tim since I was, you know.
That just makes me
I
sound
know.
old,
I'm sorry.
man.
I'm sorry.
Come on.
But you were always been doing some just incredibly inspiring stuff, and so I remember coming to you and saying, "Hey, here's my short room. Can I make one of your one of your things?" You said no. Actually, you said I had to start from the bottom and work way up. You know, cool.
Yeah.
And that's when I went up and did the
I
make.
hate these guys. They're like, no, I want to direct. And I'm like, yeah, sure you do, kid.
So Tim, just for those that don't know you or Blur, tell us a little bit about the studio.
Let's not talk about Tim. Let's talk about Blur, because Blur is awesome. It was a simple dream. You want to do creatively interesting projects as an artist, and I thought that unless I started my own studio, unless I had the freedom to make really stupid financial decisions, I would not be able to follow my creative dreams. And I always wanted the choice to say, look, we can pay everybody, but we're not going to make any money, but this is fucking cool. It's worth it. And to do that, I needed that freedom, and so Blur was born. And it's a terrible short-term strategy, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. But it's an excellent long-term one.
Honestly, I think you did a lot of game cinematic trailers. I think you inspired a lot of our gaming industry as well as the movie industry as to what's possible, and also set the look for the future of games. Many games now look like the cinematic stuff that you made all them years ago.
I know. I hated it when we would do cinematic stuff and the game community would go, fuck you, you're cheating us.
The game doesn't look like
That's not what the game looks like. But now
Things are
now
different, yeah.
it looks like that.
So you just announced Secret Level at Gamescom, and fans of all the games that are featured there are super excited to see the series come to the streaming screen. Do you want to tell us a little bit how that came about?
It's a pretty fucking simple idea, really. It was just like, hey, let's do Love, Death, and Robots with video game. And luckily, we had almost 30 years in the industry, and we'd built up a lot of trust through collaboration with publishers and game developers. They knew that we wouldn't screw up their IP. They knew that we would take their input and care about the experience for the gamers, as well as what we were doing in the pre-rendered stuff. So we had this trust. So when we went to people and said, hey, you know this IP that you've spent, you know, millions of dollars building up? We're just going to borrow it and drive it around the block a little bit and tell some new stories with your characters in your worlds. And luckily, people trusted us to do that.
Make cool stuff.
So, you know, related to that, you know, people may have noticed in the trailer, there's an epic OG game in there, Unreal Tournament. and we've worked really closely together. In fact, the story goes back a long time, like 10 years ago when I started working at Epic.
When I tried to hire Kim.
No, I didn't. I really felt that to sort of kick off this transmedia transition for the industry, the best studio to work with would be this company that works with games companies and works with film companies. So I went to Blur, and I tried to persuade Tim into using the engine. And obviously, it didn't happen then, but the seed was planted, and this was an opportunity to work together, learn something from Blur that everybody in this audience benefits from.
Yeah.
The animation tools, the lighting tools, they're all getting better because of this partnership that we've had. But it was good fun for your artists. Took a little while for everybody to get into it, but I think the results are great.
I mean, look, I think it's the right time because what you're getting in real time is as good as
Stunning.
anything we can do in non-real time. And of course, some aspects of the process are so much more enjoyable because the artists were fucking giddy running around the studio because they're not waiting 2 hours a frame. They're waiting, 20. You get 24 a second or 30.
You know, the thing I love about it, because we do all our cinematic content at Epic in the engine, is that it's sort of immersion in the content.
Yeah.
Because you can fly anywhere, you can change the lights, you can pose the characters, you feel like you're inside it, just like live action.
That was my experience. It felt like live action because on set, we'll kind of go to a location, and then we'll kind of move the camera over here and find something that we never even thought of before when you're planning it. And so that chance to be spontaneous is like you're always looking for happy accidents to make something feel real.
I know it sounds all crunchy granola, but there's this thing called flow that people talk about, and it allows you to stay in the flow. You don't have to go get a coffee while you wait for a render.
Hey, I don't think the audience wants to hear us just chat forever.
Yes,
so
they do.
We should probably
Yes,
show
they
them
do.
something. Tim, do you want to explain what they're about to see?
Okay, so Kim told you he did. I said, hey, you want to be in secret level? And Kim said, yes, but only, motherfucker, if you do Unreal Tournament, and Blur has to do it. You have to do it at your place, and you have to build an Unreal pipeline, to which I said, great, because I've been waiting for a reason to do it. And Epic said, we won't let you fail, which is a beautiful thing. So, and they didn't. They were incredibly supportive. The artists had such a great time. So we did a great Unreal Tournament. I'm so proud of the whole series, but Unreal Tournament in particular. And we decided that just for Unreal Fest, we would like to do something just for the Unreal fans. So in our homage to Unreal Tournament, we build the opening fly-in to Leandro Stadium, as it was in the game, but just a little better. So Wes told me I got to say this. So what you're about to see is all in Unreal, Final Pixel.
Amazing.
All done in a very short time with a very small but very focused and crack
A great
Navy
team.
SEALs
That's
of
so awesome,
production.
so dedicated. Okay, let's roll it.
In 2291, in an attempt to control violence among deep space miners, the New Earth government legalized no-holds-barred fighting. Leandro Mining Corporation, working with the NEG, established a series of leagues and bloody public exhibitions. The fight's popularity grew with their brutality. Soon, Leandro discovered that the public matches were the most profitable enterprise. The Professional League was formed. A cabal of the most violent and skilled warriors in known space selected to fight in a grand tournament.
It's time. This world has waited for your arrival. It is you. You will open the door. Because you are the chosen. All those moments. It's a new adventure. Just for you.
have a game to play.
Wow, that was awesome.
Oh, and the team that made that is going to be doing a little demo on the floor at 2:30.
That's right. Yeah, they're all
You
here
should go see
at
it.
Unreal
Oh,
Fest.
in engine. It's absolutely amazing.
Crazy. So when can the audience see the actual show?
Oh, December 10th.
Okay,
Make an
awesome.
appointment. Set
I
your clocks.
can't wait. I can't wait.
Cancel
Oh,
date night.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Wes and Tim. It's been great to have you both here. I'm sure the audience enjoyed that little sneak peek.
Thank you,
I think it's
Epic,
still
for
time to move
making
on
these
a li-
incredible tools
Yes.
for us to use.
Thank
and I'm
you.
not just saying that because they paid me to come here.
And honestly,
I mean it.
Yes.
thanks to everybody because the whole community contributes to making them things better. So
Great stuff.
we're very
Thank
happy.
you.
Okay,
Thank you,
Dana,
everybody.
you can wrap the show.